Okay, my thing says it's streaming now, and before I start anything, I just want to say I had a time getting this set up today. So, yesterday, my laptop said that there was some kind of update and it wanted me to update it and restart. And I went, okay, I'll do that. And I'll go ahead and like turn it off, straight up turn it off for a while because I haven't done that in a while. And it's good for your computer if you like reset it, restart it every once in a while. And so I did that and I was rewarded with my laptop starting up today and going, no, I don't think I want to work for you today when you stream. So I I had this whole episode where my um my headphones made me sound like I was like a witness to a murder and they put me in like witness protection and they were like protecting my voice. So, it was like super deep and distorted, or like Satan. Um, so that was fun. And I had to update my AverMedia thing, and I had to restart my computer again. And then the um, headset finally started to cooperate. So here we are. We survived that episode. And Um, every time I plug in my headset, it sounds like really wobbly for the first like 5 minutes. So then I had to wait an extra like 5 minutes for my headset to sound okay again. So, but we did it. We got it. I don't sound like Satan anymore or like I'm in witness protection. So we're good. Um, yeah, and I'll just do my daily stuff today. Express yourself. Expressing yourself is important. Change up your hair and outfit by giving hearts to the ancestor spirits you find. All right. Okay, and my thing says Sky Children. Good. Just making sure. I accidentally did one of these last night. So, what happened last night, too, another thing happened, was, and this is really silly, but in the middle of the night, I had this, like, epiphany where I was like, wait a minute, in this game, you don't actually have to own the items to see how it'll look on you. So I was like, wait, what if they have the sword outfit already? Like, just so I could look at it and see what it looks like. And boom. Oh, it's really hard to see that because it's really bright. But here, I'll show you. Because I was like really excited for this outfit and I wanted to see it, and I thought I was gonna have to wait like a month or 2.5 months or however long to see this outfit. But here's what it looks like, and it's really cute, although it's bright, and I don't know, I don't have as much stuff to match this bright outfit, but I do have I have a couple purple capes that I think would look good with this. But yeah, so this is the outfit I'm excited for. Um, it's not going to show this on anyone else's screen but mine. And as soon as I walk away from this area or X out of this menu, that outfit goes away. So I don't actually own it. There's a darker one that looks cool. And here's the little princess outfit. Um, so I'm kind of more on the team of dark outfits because they don't really have that many in this game yet. They're all like this color. Well, not all of them, but most of them. So, like, this is what the majority of the outfits look like. Oh, that's cute. That's like a little dress. Aww, I like that one. I'll have to put that on at some point. So here's like a blue and purple one. Blue, purple, and gold. Another blue, purple, gold. Another blue, purple, gold. And then you have like black pants, finally. Um, well, these are black pants too. But you have like two whole rows of just like the exact same color before it gets into this territory. And then you go back to this kind of color. And then you have one like dark outfit like that. And then you have the Yeti outfit, and then this is like makes me think of like a blacksmith outfit. And then this one will be for the new season. So yeah, like as much as I love this design, I kind of wish it was a different color. Like I appreciate that this is a little bit more green, but we just have a lot of this like plain color, this like beige-ish color is everywhere. So, but now I know what it looks like, so I can try to find matching accessories to it and everything. So I am excited for that. So use an expression near your friend, collect orange light, rescue Amanta from the darkness, relive the, looks like the crying one. Okay. And of course, every time this circles back to the forest, it is wanting me to collect that orange light again. And I swear it's because I said that was like my least favorite. Well, not my least favorite, but one of my least favorite missions to do. Aside from holding hands in a group of 4 players. So, like, of course, that's the one that they're gonna keep having me do. It's fine. It's, you know, whatever. So, here are my gifts for the day. Yeah, I didn't do really anything outside of that one mission because a friend happened to be on when I had that epiphany. So I just made an expression here and there. And yeah, I didn't do anything else. I didn't send gifts or do any levels or anything. So yeah, get to watch me sending out gifts to everyone. You know, this is so exciting. All these friends who are like people that you haven't seen and probably won't really see much of ever because I'm not huge on socializing within the game again. I like to just kind of get on, do stuff, and then leave. I probably won't be. Oh, that's right. I was in the Isle of Dawn. I was showing people where the traveling spirit was this week. Yeah, it's every 2 weeks that they show up. I'll just go ahead and show that real quick since I'm already in the Isle of Dawn. There's not really much to do in the Isle of Dawn. They did recently have a season though that has like all the trials. I'll do those after I do Eat and Run because then it'll be worth it for me to do those. There is a shiny boy hidden in here. Oh, they have candles in here. That's nice. Yeah, let's go for it. Give me. Oh yeah, there is a shiny boy there too. I was like, please don't let me be a liar here. Okay, so the traveling spirit is right over here. In the sand. Sassy pose. That's what I showed last time. But yeah, here it is. Alright, I'm gonna do missions now. I like how my character is looking at the spirit like, am I gonna relive this memory again? Or guess not. So yeah, that was an adventure today. Oh, I really like this music. I don't think I ever had the music turned on while I went to this area. So you get to hear it. This is one of the songs that I like in this game. Like, they're all really pretty, but there are certain ones where, yeah, this is my favorite. And this is one of them. The forest was one of my favorite levels for a while. Because before they changed, like, the candle situation, this was, like, one of the places where you would get a lot of candles. And the music is pretty, and it's pretty. There's not a candle over there, is there? Just check. They sometimes have the seasonal candles over here. No. I think I flew over it too, just to make sure, but now I can say I double checked. So pretty. Now the music will change because it's raining. Once you get to the rainy area, the music changes. But it's like still pretty music. I like it. I love chill music like this. It's very nice. It's like cutesy flute music. It's great. Perfect. 10 out of 10. So this is another random topic to bring up. But I guess I'll just keep blabbing about whatever. So, yesterday I think I talked about like anime stuff because I'm a big nerd. And I was wondering what like people's general opinions are of like comic stuff too. Like, I know most people prefer Marvel over DC, for example. But yeah, I wanted to know what other people think. Who, like, I guess, like, people who watch streams. Like, what do they think of Marvel versus DC? Because I'm actually one of those people who likes DC better, just because I have, like, a certain loyalty to certain characters, and I like them a lot more than certain Marvel characters. Because Marvel, I feel like you could objectively say that Marvel is better in a lot of ways, like the number of stories that they have that are compelling, because DC relies way too heavily on like Batman and Superman, and then everyone else kind of gets thrown under the bus when compared to those two. So there's like Batman versus Superman, and they don't really focus that much on their other characters, or like they'll give them a movie, but they'll give them a really half-assed movie. So like the new Wonder Woman movie was not very good, or at least I saw it and I didn't think it was very good, because they like changed a whole bunch of things up, and a lot of the people who worked on the first one, I guess they weren't allowed to work on the second one, or they kind of went back to their old ways, and gave they gave some guy the reins for that movie, and it showed because it was done a lot less well. Not to say that the first one was perfect or anything, but I do believe that they like actually tried to do something different with the first one, and it ended up appealing to a lot more people, women specifically. And so yeah, they just kind of went back to their old ways and screwed up the second movie. But yeah, I recently got HBO Max, and HBO Max has a surprising amount of DC stuff. So it kind of like reminded me that DC stuff exists. And yeah, I was kind of like, it kind of like renewed some of that love for DC in me, because I've never been a huge comic book fan in general. I feel like it's a lot more confusing to get into than like anime and manga stuff, because anime and manga stuff tends to be a lot more linear, and comic book stuff is just kind of all over the place, and it's hard to say where to start and all that. But I did, as a kid, my loyalty to DC started because as like a kid, I watched like OG Teen Titans, the animated series, and I liked it a lot. I'm one of those people who was like outraged when they made like Teen Titans Go, and they simplified all the characters too much, whatever. But like, that's been beaten to death now, so like, I know people are sick of people who are sick of Teen Titans Go, so you can't win. But even though, you know, I'm upset about what happened with that, I still feel like, I still feel that loyalty to the old series, and I guess maybe because of that, I'm just a bit more loyal to DC in general. So, even though I'm not like a DC expert or anything, I still prefer it. And so, like, some time ago, like months ago, some of my friends showed me there's a new DC animated series called Harley Quinn, and it's a cartoon, but it's very much an adult cartoon, and they like let you know right off the bat that it's an adult cartoon. So if you're like a kid thinking about watching it, please don't, because it's like super not appropriate for children. but it was done really well. And a big problem that I have with DC currently is that, like, even though I love certain characters a lot, DC only well, not only, but they really make it out like they care more about Batman and Superman than anyone else. So, like, if you like anyone outside of those characters, it's really hard to find, like, a lot of good content for them, and they kind of, like, half-ass anything that's not Batman and Superman. So, like, the Aquaman movie was kind of eh. It wasn't bad, it just was kind of eh. And same thing with Oops. Yeah, see, I told you, music here is just so loud in some places. Um, but yeah, so like if you love certain characters, it's really hard to find a lot of content on them outside of, like, you know, the most popular ones. So, um, I really, really, really liked the Harley Quinn show, even though it's not for kids. But, like, it was so good, and they put so much attention on these other characters, you know, like outside of Batman. I mean, Batman's in it, but they have, like, King Shark in there and Poison Ivy, and they have, like, a lot more attention being put on those characters, um, as opposed to, like, just focusing on Batman and Joker. Joker's in it too, but not. He's not really the focal point, and neither is Batman. They're just kind of like side characters, which is really nice. So I love it when DC actually does, like, spare love and attention for those characters, because it's not something that they really do often. Yeah. Alright. So we got all the dailies done. Right after I said it would probably take me longer to do it today. Guess I'm a liar. I already have 5 candles too? Wow. I guess this level is, it does give you a lot of candles. Like, I knew that because I liked this level a lot when I first started playing. Come on, birds, help me out here. Thank you. Come on. Come on. There you go. There you go. Keep going. There. Thank you. So yeah, I just, like, really appreciate that kind of stuff. I still like Teen Titans, and a long time ago when Young Justice first came out, I watched it, like, pretty religiously, and I was really into it, and then I heard that a new season came out, and I was super excited to watch it, but I started watching it, and I wasn't really feeling it anymore. I think it was just that I didn't really remember what had happened, and I couldn't really be asked to rewatch the entire series just to figure out, just to, like, get myself caught up to care about those characters again. So, sorry, Young Justice fans. I still feel like I'm a fan, but I just have not been able to get into the new season. Even though I heard there was, like, a gay character on there. I think they made Aqualad a gay character, and that makes me really happy. Like, that's another thing about DC is they have like, or they had the potential for a lot of their characters to be like LGBT and stuff. So like one of my favorite characters in DC, and once again, I don't really know that much about DC, but I got really curious about this one character who was in the OG Teen Titans series because they have so many like random minor characters in there too. Um, like Bumblebee and who else? I mean, they had Aqualad and Masimenos and Speedy, the like Teen Titans East gang, and oh, they had like the Hive 5, so then they had like the Hive in there and Brother Blood. Um, so it was just like they had so many characters in there that it was like it was interesting because it was like, who are all these people? This is like these have to be references to other DC characters and other comics and stuff. And nearing the end of like that last season where they were going through like Beast Boys, big bads for his series, um, which was like the Brain and whoever else, I don't remember. But oh, the Legion of Doom, I think, was his big bad. So like they had the Legion of Doom, and they had like all these villains teaming up to take down all the Teen Titans because they had just built like a network and had just given out like their communicators to like all the other Titans or all the other young heroes that the Titans wanted to be like connected with. And so during that like whole fiasco, there was like that one point where it was like Beast Boy was one of the few Titans that they hadn't caught, and then there was like a really small ragtag group of people that they also hadn't caught, and it was like Panther and um, one of the twins, Moss or Menos, I can't remember. I think it was Moss. Um, and then they had Jericho and the Herald. Yeah, I think that's it. It was Beast Boy, Jericho, the Herald, Panther, and Moss, and that was like the team. But yeah, so like I saw Jericho, and I was like, who is this character? So I looked him up, and I was like so shocked because, as it turned out, he was Slade's son, like his youngest son, and um, his name was Joey, and he was mute. So like in that segment, it's a very short segment. It's like 2 episodes that he's in, and he doesn't talk in any of it. So I was like interested because I was like, who's this guy? He doesn't talk. He was just like doing like sign language at them and stuff. So I looked him up, and yeah, it turns out he's like the youngest son of Slade, and I didn't know Slade had any kids, much less 3, but he has 3 kids, and Joey's his youngest, and he's like a super sweetheart. He was in the like 80s Teen Titans comic, and the more I read about him, the more I was like, oh my god, I love this character so much because like he was like really soft and artistic and they actually, even way back in the 80s, they were thinking about making him like one of their first gay characters just because he was like so soft and sweet, and they were like, nah, he's gonna be too stereotypically gay, so we're just gonna make him straight. And that was like so disappointing to me because I was like, nah, I could totally see it. Him, like, even if he was kind of stereotypical in some ways, like, he was such a good, sweet character that it's not like it's unflattering. Like, Nintendo has um, Mario as one of their huge title characters, and he's like this Italian plumber, and he's has all these stereotypes um, kind of associated with him, but he's not interpreted negatively ever. He's like a very much beloved character and mascot, even though he's not like um, he was never created like by Italian people or anything like that. And he has once again like all these stereotypes going on. So like even if you attribute some stereotypes to a character, that doesn't necessarily make them, bad or unlikable or, I don't know, nasty. I feel like as long as you um, do it out of love and, you're not malicious with those stereotypes, that, like, you can still have a good character, even if they have some of those stereotypes attributed to them. So, like, after reading all that, I was so bummed because, like, I don't know, that would have just made me love this character even more. So I, like, fell in love with this character. But the sad thing about that is when you like a character that's not well known and not really in much of anything, then you're like starved for content of that character. So, that's how I feel about that character, because now every time I see anything like Teen Titans or Young Justice related, I'm like, where's Joey? And he's like never in anything. In fact, there was a movie that came out a couple years ago called Judas Contract. And Judas Contract in the like 80s comics was where that was essentially the story of how like Joey joined the Teen Titans to begin with, because he got involved with this stuff with Brother Blood and this like cult thing going on, and he decided he wanted to help the Titans um, because he has powers, and he's a good boy. And so they came out with this movie, Judas Contract, I think in 2017 or 2018, one of those two. And I had heard about it, I was all excited. He was even like, Joey was in the trailer for it, so I was like, oh my gosh, are they gonna actually like pay attention to this character that they made in the 80s? And so I watched the movie, and in the movie, he had, I think, maybe like 12 seconds of screen time. He didn't have a voice actor, but I was like, oh, well, maybe they're being faithful and making him mute. And, like, he didn't need a voice actor because, he didn't say anything. But that should have been my first tip, because then I watched the movie and he was in it for like 12 seconds, and it was like, they really, I mean, talk about like screwing with a character. They screw with this character so much because everything that they put him in now is like they they either make him wildly out of character or they uh, minimize his presence, like in Judas Contract, because he was okay. So he was being experimented on by Brother Blood. That was his screen time, and they like were doing this weird like shock therapy or something on him. So he's being tortured and like crying out in pain. And then they finish with that. He stands up, and then someone pulls out a gun, and Brother Blood orders that guy to shoot him in the head, and he does, and he dies, and that's like his entire screen time in that movie. And what drives me nuts about that too was that in that movie, Slade was teaming up with Brother Blood, and for people who don't really know Deathstroke or Slade very well, and I don't, once again, I don't know all of his story, I don't know all of his lore or anything, but there's a pretty significant chunk of content out there that's like all about Slade and how he like loves his family and especially loves his youngest son. And so I I was just like in awe because not only did they completely take this character out of his own story and only put him in there for like 12 seconds, long enough to watch him be killed, but his dad, who is like the biggest like Joey supporter aside from like his mom, just like stood there passively. I mean, he was in the screen in that moment, and he just like passively watches as his own son gets shot in the head and falls down dead. And I was like, this is so out of character. Like, and my scream, it's so wildly out of character. And so like for people who don't really know Slade well, if you've seen his design, his whole freaking character design is um he's got like he's orange and black and he has this mask and the mask is like divided in half and it's like on one side it's just completely black and on the other side it's orange, but like there's a hole for where his eye goes so he can see, but like one half is completely covered because he's missing an eye. And so like, and that's I mean, a very distinct feature of his character just in general. And what most people don't know is the reason why he has a missing eye and an eye patch and why his character looks like that to begin with is because when his youngest son was like a little kid, he was kidnapped by a different villain, and Slade, was determined to get his son back. So he goes on this mission to rescue him, and before he can get to him, the villain in question who has like custody of him slashes his throat, and that's the reason why Joey's mute, because he had his throat slashed as like a little kid, and so Joey's mom was like so pissed off about learning what happened to him, and so pissed off at his dad for letting that happen, and essentially being the reason why their son is mute now, that she shot him in the face and shot his eye out. So, like, that's just, like, such a big part of his character, and people want to completely erase that or don't even acknowledge that that's why he is missing an eye to begin with, and that's also why Joey's mute. But it's like that's such a big part of his character, or at least his design. And I don't know, maybe Joey's just not an interesting enough character. Maybe he's too much of a goody two shoes, and it's considered boring by the creators, so they don't feel like putting him in there. Like, I don't know why he has so little love, but I swear it's like it's ridiculous how far he's pushed out of like content nowadays, or like, because I got like really into this lore, even though I didn't actually I didn't go through like every Deathstroke comic ever, and I didn't go through the comics with like his other kids or anything like that, because I don't know, I wouldn't know where to start with that stuff. But I did start reading the 80s comics because I was like curious about Joey, and that's where he shines the most. And I haven't read all of them or anything, but um, I've read a couple of the 80s comics with him in it, and he is like the sweetest and cutest character like ever. And if they had let him be gay, I would have like cried happy tears because he would have been even more adorable. But they have since, because it's like 2021, they have since retconned that aspect of him because they were originally going to make him gay anyways. So now he's canonically bisexual, so that's cool. I'm happy about that, at least. I guess they couldn't erase like all of the romances that they threw into. So like, because he had kind of a thing going on with Raven in the original, and like in the 80s comics. And then he had some other stuff going on with some other like female characters, but they like were just using him and actually hated him or whatever, I guess, for the drama of it, because you can't have like a sweet character like that actually be happy. He has to be like, you know, foolish and love-struck and falling for the wrong people so that they can hurt him, because that makes the drama, that makes it interesting, you know, whatever. But yeah, and like, it's just crazy because I haven't seen, once again, I haven't seen every iteration of him, but the iterations that I have seen are just like, it's so sad because he's so stinking cute in the original 80s comic that he first appeared in. Like, I want to cry. He's so sweet and cute and wholesome and genuine. And in the subsequent versions of him, or at least the ones that I've seen, they like completely turn that on its head, and they either retain his sweet personality and make him like practically invisible, which is what they did in the OG um, series because he was only in there for like 2 minutes. He had like 2 minutes of screen time. Um, so they either do that. I hate being cuts in. I hate being stuck in cutscenes. Um, so yeah, they either have him still be sweet, but then he's like hardly in anything, or they give him more screen time and then they make him an asshole because they had a new comic series coming out called Teen Titans New Earth, and I knew that Joey was going to be in it, so I was really excited to read it. And he's like this evil villain, and he's like totally heartless. And like they made Slade this super sympathetic character who's like this sad dad who's just like, I love my son, please can you like help save him? And like which makes me like Slade more, but at the same time I'm like, why did you do this to this character? Like why did you butcher his character so much? He was so sweet and now he's like an asshole. And like and he wasn't mute either, but he had his throat slashed in the comic because, you know, at least they're sort of trying to maintain some kind of loyalty to his character, because that's like one of the things that makes him who he is. Um, and I think in the 80s comics, he also had like, I think they had a segment that was very similar to like in the OG Teen Titans series, there was like an episode where um, Cyborg was interacting with kids and they were like, look, I have a prosthetic arm too, I'm just like you. And, you know, like having that disability representation. So I think in the 80s comics, they had that with Joey too because he's mute and he talks only in ASL. So like that was really cool. But when they, you know, negate um, the ASL part and the mute part, it just like completely takes away from that aspect of his character, which also makes him a lot less interesting as a character. And I hate that too. So, um, yeah, so the most recent thing, well, I think there's like a TV show, like a live action show too, that has Joey in it, and I haven't seen it yet, but I'm planning on watching that too. But there's a movie that came out last year that was, I think it's called Deathstroke, something or other. Oh, Dragons and Knights or something, and it's all about um, it's like the Slade family. So they they go through um, stuff with the family, and so they introduce you to like Slade and his wife and his son, and then they show like his daughter, but they don't really grant his other son, who's like his oldest child, isn't in it at all. Um, and once again, they went through the whole rigmarole of like having this character who, um, you know, the kid gets kidnapped and goes through the process of saving the kid, and then the kid gets hurt, gets his throat slashed, and becomes mute, and all that. But apparently, before he and his wife were ever even married, he already had the eye patch, and it's like, no, stop retconning this. This is not. When this character had an eye patch, it was a lot more interesting how you originally had it, where like the eye patch was the consequence of his son getting hurt, and the wife getting pissed at him and her like shooting him in the face. Like that was so much more interesting. Why did you get rid of that? And so like that movie kind of drives me nuts because there are things that I feel like they kept faithful to the original story, but they also changed some things around. So like the eye patch thing was one of them, and the subsequent powers that his son gets after his experience being like kidnapped and experimented on. Um, he just like was super OP. He had like he was a telepath suddenly, and he had all of these like telekinetic powers, and he had like electricity powers, and he had the ability to like mind control people, and it was just like, what the hell did they do to this character? Because his powers were not, I mean, he had one power, and his one power was that if he makes eye contact with someone, then he can possess that person's body. So it's not mind control, it's possession. And like it's a very powerful ability, so they kind of nerfed it by um, having the requirement of him making eye contact with that person before being able to do that. So if you just like cover his eyes, if you throw a bag over his head, he's like useless. He's, you know, completely incapacitated. So, yeah, and that wasn't anything that they showcased in that movie at all. And so, like, I was happy for the family dynamics, and I was happy that they even had a movie that even featured this character to begin with because he's such a minor character and everything. But even in that movie, he was still like a minor character that they showed as little as possible, and then they retconned all the stuff. They retconned him having a brother, so he no longer had a brother. They retconned his dad's eye situation. They retconned all of his powers. And I guess because it was a family movie, they retconned like him joining the Teen Titans and everything. But it was just like so much that they changed, and I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know if it appeals better to people that way, or if people, once again, just don't care enough about that particular character and they care more about, like, Deathstroke and him being cool or whatever. But that's my rant of the day because that was driving me nuts because I just saw that movie and, like I said, there were things about it that I liked a lot, but there were other things that like really confused me about it, and I don't know why they decided to go that route. But anyways, I got all the daily stuff done, and I got all the candles. So how long have I been playing for? Less than an hour. I'm getting really good at this. Um, I just laid down. Good job. So if you go idle for a while, it will just show your character as like sitting down and eventually laying down and going to sleep. It's cute. That's like a good way of letting people know too that like that person is inactive. That's happened to me before a few times where like I've seen a friend online in like the home menu and I went up to them and started like screaming at them, but they were obviously like AFK, so I was like, oh, okay, and knew that I didn't have to stick around and wait for them. So, Yep, yep. Um, I guess I will be back tomorrow because I don't know if I want to stream tonight. I might or might not. I think I have D&D tonight, so we'll see. So I think eventually, because I am part of the, we're gonna try to start a group called Mundane Debauchery, and it's just like my D&D friend group making, um, doing like D&D campaign stuff online, but also doing our own thing. So I'm streaming separately from everyone else, and they're gonna start streaming, and yeah, we'll hopefully do some stuff together, and maybe that'll be fun. Who knows? But for now, it's just me hanging out doing this stuff because I'm gonna do it anyway, so I might as well stream it, and hopefully it's entertaining to some people. Who knows? But yeah, that's it for me today. I'm pretty pretty impressed with how quickly I'm getting those chores done now. So I guess it's not. I guess it's more or less than an hour that it takes to do all that. So if anyone is curious um, about the commitment to this game, you don't even have to play for an hour a day in order to get everything. Um, and yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to me rant about DC stuff. Like I said, even though I'm a DC fan, I'm not like super into it. It's just like a few characters that I really care about. And even within those character stories, I don't know everything that there is to know about any of them. So it's just, I don't know. I do like those characters a lot, though. I kind of wish that DC put a little more love into them because there are a lot of people out there who do really love and care about those characters. Because I'll have conversations with those people who are like, oh yeah, I love X character, but like, they're a minor character, they're not in anything, and they had the potential to be so good, and that potential was never lived up to, and that's like a big bummer. But, anyways, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.